Hello, my name is Steve Anderson. I'm an advisor here with Trio SSS, and today I'm going to be presenting a workshop called In Search of Scholarships. This workshop has been loaded to Blackboard Learn. At the end, there will be a quiz for you to complete. In order to get credit for the workshop for our Trio requirements, you must complete the quiz and receive an 80% or higher. With that said, I will get started today on the workshop In Search of Scholarships. So we all know paying for college is one of the biggest challenges that students face today. And in Trio, we will help you apply for FAFSA, make sure that your financial aid award is correct, help you decide if you'd like to search for or accept loans you're eligible for. But oftentimes, even with all that, it's not enough. And so we know that scholarships are really important to our students. So in this workshop, hopefully you will learn a little bit about how to apply for scholarships and what you can do to make paying for college a little easier. So with that, we'll get started. So what are we going to cover today? I'm going to start by explaining and conceding the fact that getting scholarships is really hard work, and it's going to be really hard work. And make sure to set our expectations there so we're not surprised when the hard work comes. Give some general tips that are good for anybody applying for scholarships anywhere at any time. And then go ahead and do an explanation of the MSU Denver scholarships that are offered. There's a resource, Institute for Women's Studies and Services, here on campus that also has become like a scholarship hub for our students, and I want to point them out and make sure that you're aware of them. We'll talk a little bit about scholarship search engines, which are a very common tool used in searching for scholarships, explain what is good about those, what is bad about those, and how you should use them. We'll do just a little bit on the scholarship essay. There's a longer workshop presented by either a writing tutor or one of the advisors on scholarship essays that you'll see from time to time. So this one won't go too in depth with that, but I am going to mention it a little bit. Again, just briefly touch on the next topic, which is references and letters of recommendation. And make sure that you have the information you need to do that correctly. And then finally, attempt to convince you that it's all worth it. So we're going to get started. And so, again, like I said, I want to concede the point that scholarships are a lot of hard work. You see things online that talk about hundreds of thousands of dollars available for scholarships and thousands of scholarships to apply for. And knowing that you are one of millions of people applying for scholarships in this very moment, it can be very overwhelming. And just want to make sure that that we recognize that at Trio, and that that's why we hope workshops like this and meetings with your advisor or with a mentor can help you sort of overcome that hurdle of the hard work. So it can take a lot of time, and in fact, I want to scratch that. It's going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort to apply for scholarships. It's something that you won't be able to just make an appointment with me or with another advisor and come in and get it done in that moment. And then all of a sudden you'll be done and you'll get a scholarship later. That's not the way it's going to work. It's going to take a lot of time, many hours of searching and deciding, and a lot of work to make sure your essay is good, you applied to the right scholarships and stuff like that. So know that there really aren't any shortcuts, aside from this one shortcut that we'll talk about later. So we wanted to start with just 3 main general tips. The first general tip is that there are deadlines. Know the deadlines. Unfortunately, most scholarships are awarded before the fall semester. They are awarded for the whole academic year, which begins in the fall. So if you're looking for scholarships, either for the current semester or one that's just right around the corner, know that you may have missed the deadline for that, because usually the way scholarship applications work is the deadline for most of them happen sometime in February or March. You apply then, you'll hear if you got the scholarship in May or June, and then you'll get the scholarship once the fall semester begins. And I'd say this is the way about 90% of scholarships work. You apply in the late winter, early spring, and you get the scholarship for the fall. It's because of this that we recommend doing the scholarship work over winter break when you don't have classes and you can decide where you want to apply for scholarships. Another thing on deadlines that isn't really in a bullet here, but it's the number one way to make sure you don't get a scholarship is to miss a deadline, to not follow instructions. If you want to get a scholarship, you need to do what they ask. And if one of those things is get it in by a certain day at a certain time. And so make sure that that happens. Because though you may be taking this workshop that I'm presenting here right now at a time that's not during that early winter, late spring, and you can't apply for scholarships, we oftentimes wonder what we can do right now. And so there are still some things you can do for the semesters. You can certainly search for scholarships. I said 90% of scholarships fall under that schedule that I mentioned before, but that still means that there's 10% of scholarships out there that you can search for that have a December due date or have a November due date. And you can then get that for the summer or for even the spring if you find the right scholarships. But be aware that it'll be frustrating because you'll be looking for scholarships, and most of the ones you come up with, 90% of them or more, are going to be deadline in March, get the scholarship in the fall. But you can certainly do that, and I don't want to discourage anyone from doing that. But the number one thing you can do to help yourself this semester is to raise your GPA. As you may know, if you meet with me in advising sessions, GPAs are not all that important. You need to be over a 2.0 to graduate, to stay in good standing. You need to be over a 2.5 in many majors and to get internships. Aside from those things, GPAs aren't really that big of a deal. If you're going to grad school, you need to have a really good GPA. But if you're just planning to get your bachelor's degree and go get a job, GPAs aren't that important. And oftentimes students stress themselves out because they're worried about getting the best GPA. But with all that said, there's one area where GPA is crucial, and that is in getting scholarships. Scholarships are mostly, if not completely, awarded to people with high GPAs. So raising your GPA today is the best thing you can do to get a scholarship tomorrow. There's obviously some ways that I'm sure you know about to raise your GPA. Come to tutoring. We have tutors here. Go visit your professor. Come to TRIO in general and do workshops and study here and create a time management calendar with a mentor that can help you figure out when you're going to study. All these things are great ways to raise your GPA. Another way that I wanted to mention is that maybe you took a class that you didn't do so well in, got an F or a D, and you hated it. But it can go a long way to raising your GPA if you replace that grade. And so meeting with an advisor to talk about grade replacement is a really good way to raise your GPA quickly. But yeah, that's the main thing you can do this semester is search if you'd like. It'll be frustrating because a lot of things you find won't be eligible to you at this point, but then raising your GPA. If you can get your GPA from a 2.3 to a 2.5, you've now opened up a ton of scholarships. If you can get it from a 2.5 to a 3.0, you've opened up a ton of scholarships. If you can get it from a 3.0 to a 3.5, you've opened up a ton of scholarships. So any sort of movement you can make with your GPA will really help you in the scholarship hunt. Other things that you can do, I call it killing two birds with one stone. It's one, write a generic multi-use scholarship essay. Pretty much every essay that you will come up against for scholarships is going to be, tell me about you, why you want to get your degree, what you're going to do once you have your degree, and why getting the scholarship is going to make it easier for you to get a degree. That can come down to a very simple 4 or 5 paragraph essay that's 1 page single spaced, or 2 or 3 pages double spaced. And this can give you a really strong scholarship essay that you can utilize once it's time to apply for a scholarship. Now, one thing I will say is do not just submit this essay without editing it. You should always try and make a scholarship essay specific to the scholarship you're applying for. So maybe in general, you write about how you want to go into being a math teacher, but then you're applying for a scholarship that talks about being a public servant. So instead of focusing on the math aspect of teaching, you're going to focus on the teaching part, that you want to be a teacher to be a public servant. So you're going to edit that essay to fit that scholarship. Slight alterations like this can make the specific scholarship essay that much better. And then always have it reviewed and revised by as many people as you can. And this goes for your scholarship essay and any papers you write. It'll really improve your essay if you can have somebody review it, whether that's a writing tutor here at TRIO or the writing center or an advisor here at TRIO. Getting it reviewed and revised is going to be really helpful. Also, building relationships with faculty and staff is a way to do multiple things with one little trick. And this is helpful because it's going to give you options for references of letter of recommendations, and it'll help you learn about different scholarship opportunities that are out there. Make sure you do apply to a large number of scholarships. Don't throw all your eggs in one basket, and then choose the right fit for the right one. You want to be very clear about, am I eligible for this scholarship? If you have a 2.5 and it requires a 3.0, it's not worth applying, because that's a requirement that they're only going to give to the requirement. If they say recommended 3.0, certainly go ahead and apply, because you can show that your GPA isn't a 3.0, but you're still a really strong student who maybe has other challenges. And therefore the GPA isn't a good reflection of how successful you are in college. If it says that you need to be a biology major and you're a chemistry major, don't need to apply, because that's a requirement. So make sure you're applying for the right one. And so just to continue on that, be realistic. Are you eligible? Do you have a shot? There are hundreds of thousands of scholarships out there. So you want to make sure you're picking ones that you can really actually get. Another main tip that I want to make sure you go away with today is that you shouldn't pay to apply for a scholarship. Real scholarship opportunities that are legitimate do not have application fees. So if there's an application fee for a scholarship, that's probably because it's a scam. Don't pay finder's fees. There are some scholarship search tools that you'll find that make you pay some sort of subscription to. In my opinion, these are no better than the free ones that exist on the internet, so you shouldn't pay. There is one exception to this, and that's honor societies or fraternities or sororities. Memberships to organizations oftentimes do have a cost, and one of the benefits of being a member of that organization is a scholarship. And in that case, you'll have to make a decision for yourself. Is the cost benefit analysis work out in my favor? But in general, don't pay, because if you're paying, it's probably a scam. Get help in applying for scholarships. That's help with your essay. That's help with searching. That's help with planning when you're going to do these things. Advisors, mentors, these are the people to go to for help. And then have a plan. schedule this out, map it out, make sure that you're going to do it in the process and get it all done by that deadline, like I said earlier. And if you have a plan, it can make it seem more manageable. So after the general tips, we're going to talk about the shortcut. So the shortcut is not just doing 2 birds with 1 stone, it's 250. And that's the MSU Denver Scholarship. This is the only way that you are going to be able to submit 1 scholarship and have that open up the door to 250 scholarships. And so a lot of times students think that I'm exaggerating with this. So I like to go to the MSU Denver Scholarship website and show it to you. So if we go to msudenver.edu/financial aid/scholarships, takes you to this page. You can see the scholarship for 2017-18 is available. Whatever semester you're doing this, that scholarship is available. If you haven't applied, you should still apply now, because if they have money left over, you could become eligible for it. But in general, the application is March 1st of the year, the semester before the fall. So if you want to get a scholarship for 2018, fall of 2018, you need to apply by March 1st of 2018, March 1st of 2018. And just know that if you apply today, your application will be good for this fall 2017, spring 2018. It won't roll over. So if you already got your scholarships for this 2017-18 academic year, you need to wait until the scholarship for the following year opens. That usually happens early in the spring semester, and then make sure you apply by March. If we click the Apply Now button, that will take us here, and it'll show you all the scholarships that exist. So you can see there are tons of scholarships, all of these. And you can see there are 4 pages of these scholarships. You can see now a lot of them have ended, so we could probably look through and see that even applying now isn't necessarily that useful. But these will all reopen for next fall, coming, like I said, early spring semester. So this one application, you submit once. I'll go through a little bit more step by step on how to submit here in a second, but one application will allow you to apply for all of those scholarships. And so that's the only way that that's going to work. Every other scholarship is going to be a 1-for-1 thing. 1 application, 1 scholarship. 1 application, 1 scholarship. But this is 1 application for 250 scholarships. It's pretty awesome. So take it really seriously. They ask you to write a personal statement. Make sure you have that personal statement reviewed. Write it in Word, Microsoft Word, not directly on the website so you don't lose it and you can edit it. Really give it your all. I think my next slide here is just a list of the scholarships, which I already showed you. And the next one is to actually apply. So let's go back there and go ahead and see how to apply. So what you're going to do is sign in. You sign in, gives you a little thing here. You can review it. You click the sign in button, takes to your page. You have to go ahead and sign in. And they take you to the general application site. So this is going to begin your application. You do your name, new continuing or transfer student. Continuing is for anybody who's already a student here at MSU Denver. So that would be most, if not all of you. How many credit hours are you taking? Know that you can only get financial aid from our financial aid office if you're taking more than 6. What's your major? Is there anything specific to you listed here? Do you have a bachelor's degree before? Are either of your parents currently have a degree? So that's current, have a degree from a college or university. Have you participated in any of these programs? single parent, working, etc., organizations, activities, clubs, and then here we have the personal statement. It's an essay, 250 to 600 words, saying, like I said, what's your chosen field of study, how you're going to use the degree upon graduation, how the scholarship is going to help you, and anything unique about you. So you just, again, paste from Word into here, and then you hit finish and submit. When you hit finish and submit, what's going to happen is this opportunities, it's going to come up with what they recommend your scholarships to be. Since I haven't submitted, I don't know that it has anything recommended. It's got this one. But you're going to want to click through and see if there are any additional requirements to the scholarship. So like this scholarship, for example, has supplemental questions. Do you have a declared concentration in nonprofit studies or high-risk youth? Will you be completing a practicum? So you need to submit those supplemental question answers. And you need to do these supplemental question answers by the deadline as well, the March 1st deadline. So make sure you're not submitting the whole application or the general application February 28th, because then you're going to have all these supplemental questions you're going to want to do. And you can see these are not going to be quite as long, and not all of them have them. A lot of the scholarships don't have any supplemental questions, but some do. And that's going to be the way you apply. So do this every year. It's even if you don't have time to do in-depth personal statements or supplemental questions, just do the general application to the best of your ability and get it done, because it's going to open the door to money for you. So that's the shortcut. I know it might be a little underwhelming because you may have already knew about it, but it is, I just want to stress, so important that you do that scholarship. The other office that we like to make students aware of is the Institute for Women's Studies and Services. For whatever reason, this office on campus has decided that it's going to be the place for scholarships, for students to go to find scholarships. And they offer in-person help for everybody, not just women, but everybody. Anybody who wants to go there can go there. This person, Stephanie Martin-Schufeld, she doesn't work here anymore, but she did work in the Institute for Women's Studies and Services, and she actually used to work at TRIO. I put her name on there when she was here as like a reference that you can go to, because she's used to working with TRIO students. But with the new people who work there, it's still good to know that they are very used to working with students from TRIO SSS. They also have a lot of workshops of their own, many on their website that you can go to if you want to get more information in a workshop form of how to apply for scholarships. And then they have in-person workshops, and many of those are on our workshop calendar. And they're also on their own workshop calendar. So there's the website. If you want to, you can visit that website now. That's what I'm going to do here. And so again, msudenver.edu/women. We can click on scholarships, and there's an introduction here. So the application process, the videos I talked about, scholarship search links, Colorado regional scholarships, national scholarships, undocumented student scholarships, graduate scholarships, and IWSS scholarships. So I'm going to briefly touch on what each one of these things means and what they're referencing. So the Colorado and Regional Scholarships is a list that the Institute for Women's Studies and Services has compiled of a bunch of scholarships. And like I was saying before, the MSU Denver Scholarship, one application, 250 scholarships, all the other ones, one for one. And you can see that here. What you're going to do is click and scroll through, find one that you feel like you're qualified for, like Community Action Program Multicultural Scholarship Fund, low-income student living in Boulder County. So if that applies to you, you can click on it, read through the website, and learn how to apply. Right. And so that's the other way to do scholarships. They also have national scholarships. So again, a link of a list that they've compiled of national scholarships that you're welcome to apply for. Undocumented students graduate scholarships. This is for students who are looking at graduate school. So if you are graduating soon and hoping to go to grad school, know that scholarships exist. So definitely apply for them. There's a bunch here, especially available to first generation college students. That way, but you'd see them on this site. Again, very helpful. Like I said, the scholarship workshop videos, if you'd like to watch one of their videos, they have a scholarships 101 video, how to write, showing versus telling. And so, the IWSS scholarship, I should touch on that. These are scholarships given out by the Institute for Women's Studies and Services. So there are 4 of these that you can apply for. You know, there's the requirements. If that applies to you, feel free to apply. Again, if this applies to you, feel free to apply. Some of these are actually included on the scholarship, MSU Denver scholarship page, but some of them aren't because they want to give them out outside of our financial aid office. So you might want to check here as another option for scholarships. Back to our Prezi. They also have scholarship search engines, which I believe is the next thing that I wanted to touch on. So there's a bunch of scholarship search engines out there. FastWeb is probably the most popular, scholarships.com, FinAid, CollegeNet, all these different scholarship search engines. So there's some things you need to know about these. As our little animation jumps through the 4 big ones that I have. There's also new apps, Scholly, an app. There's different search engines, basically. The biggest things to know is that they're going to spam you. Like I said, these are free. And so the way that they make their money is they give you ads, email ads. So they're going to do that constantly, sending you emails. Want you to visit their website as much as possible so that they get traffic and make money. So what I've done is just simply the sign up is either with a junk email that I know is where all my junk goes to, or you filter through your email so that this stuff goes to your trash or to your spam folder. And you can certainly visit an advisor or a mentor to help you do that. Again, overwhelming. You're going to get a ton of scholarship opportunities this way. And, it's going to be hard to decide which one to apply for. So just know that. So because of that, what I would do if it were me is just pick one and use it and say, this is the one I'm going to use. So fastweb.com, like I said, is one of the most popular. Going back to the internet for a second, scholarship search links. They even have them split up here if you think this would be helpful for you. So that's nice. But yeah, here's fastweb.com. And so the way this works is you are going to go ahead and create a profile by signing up. You're going to give them some information about you, just like you did the general scholarship. And then they're going to search their database for all the scholarships they think apply to you. So be as honest and accurate as you can be so that they send you the correct scholarships. We'll see if I can figure out how to log in here myself. So they want me to finish my profile because I haven't really finished it. So I'm just going to skip so I can go to the scholarships. And you can see based on what they've learned about me, they have 36 new matches that if I got all the scholarships would total $86,000. So I can click on the new matches and that'll show them to me and I can apply. That's obviously going to be a little bit misleading. I'm not going to be able to apply to all 36. I'm not actually going to get $86,000. But you can look at all these and apply. And it's a really good way to find additional scholarships that aren't specific to our institution. And so yeah, with that, I'm going to move on to the next part of our presentation, which is the scholarship essay. So you can read through that for a second. So the scholarship essay, pretty simple. Answer the question, be passionate, specific, review, reread, revise, etc. References and letters of recommendation. I said I'd touch on this a little bit. Just make sure you ask the right people so that it fits the scholarship, and be confident that they're going to give you a positive review. You don't want to be asking an employer if they want a faculty member. You don't want to be asking a friend if they want a professional staff. But also be very confident they're going to give you a positive review. Don't ask somebody just because they're prestigious. Ask them because you know you have a good relationship with them. And if you do ask somebody, make sure you give them some assistance. Don't just say, hey, can you write me a letter, or can you be a reference? Tell them, like, here's my resume so you know a little bit more about me. This is what I'm writing about in my scholarship essay, that I love psychology and whatnot, so that they can focus on that too. Make sure you give them everything they need. If they need to send in a letter, mail it, then you need to give them an addressed and stamped envelope. If they need to submit on a website, you need to give them the exact URL. Make sure you tell them the requirements and the deadlines so they're aware of them, and follow up to make sure that they get it done. I recommend giving at least 3 weeks for this to happen. If that time isn't possible, then just being very honest and apologizing that you couldn't give them more time, and ask if they'd be able to, rather than sort of expecting it to be the case. So like I said, it's a lot of hard work. But what I want to do is convince you that it's worth it. So if we think of it as a job, if you work 2 hours a day on scholarships and work for 5 days a week, that's 10 hours a week. And so hopefully that seems doable. 2 hours a day, 5 days in a week. Now let's say you work for the 4 weeks, basically all of January during winter break, like we recommended earlier. That makes up 40 hours of working on scholarship searching. And so that might seem like you've done a lot, but as we saw in this workshop, there's a lot to do. So I'm sure you'd be able to find something to do for all 40 of those hours. Now let's say you got one $1,000 scholarship, 40 hours, all that work, and all you got was one scholarship. But if you think about it like a job, that's 40 hours of work for $1,000. So that's like getting paid $25 an hour for a job. And I'm sure many of you here, and me included, would love a $25 an hour job. But now let's expand on that. What if you actually end up getting $10,000? And as we saw with the scholarship search engine, that's actually quite possible. That'd be like making $250 an hour, which is the equivalent of making $500,000 a year in a job. So it's hard work, but what $500,000 a year job isn't worth it. That's our scholarship workshop. Thank you for watching it today. The last thing I wanted to do is leave you with the password that you need in order to get into the Blackboard Learn workshop. The password is scholarships. One word, lowercase, scholarships is the password. Thank you. If you have any questions, please feel free to visit the TRIO office. And that is everything for today's workshop.